Ladies and gentlemen, for the life of me, I cannot even begin to fathom how it is that we could have ever wound up in this untenable situation that we find ourselves in today. The United States of America has fallen prey to a clearly erroneous ideology that is weakening us. But beyond just weakening us, it tells me that we have forgotten what it is that our founding fathers had intended for us to be in the first place. There is a wanton desire to tear down the history of this country, to tear down what this country has rightly stood for generations. In New York City, we have the city council voting unanimously to remove a statue of Thomas Jefferson as being problematic. Thomas Jefferson, the father of the Declaration of Independence, one of the most eloquent wordsmiths that this nation has ever had, and indeed one of the most accomplished statesmen and advocates for freedom that this world has ever known. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And yet they say that he was a racist and a slave owner, and that is why he should be ignored. Yet, when you look at the original drafting of the Declaration of Independence, he wanted to condemn slavery. Yet it was also the ardent abolitionist Benjamin Franklin who edited it out. Look, history is never black and white. History is never two-dimensional. History is made by individuals, and individuals are complex. But without the Founding Fathers, and without the notions that they gave us, we would not be the nation who we are. And the city council members who push for this, and have been apparently pushing for this for a multitude of decades, need to reflect upon the fact that they couldn't have a voice to whine about these things without the magnitude and depth that Thomas Jefferson, as well as all of our other founding fathers, provided this nation. This grand and glorious experiment in representational government could never have existed. Representational government was not known in that world, at least not in a way that respected the individual rights, liberties, privileges, and immunities of the individual. Sovereignty was in the hands of monarchs. In the Republic of Rome that had been tried, it was always the patricians that ruled, not the people. In Greece, in Athens, where they did have direct democracy, the people would vote to kill the brightest voices amongst them in an attempt to silence them. The case of the Nicomachean Ethics, Socrates, comes to mind. And boy, are we walking down the same path that the ancient Athenian democracy did. For we are attempting to silence the great voices that gave us birth. But not just our founding fathers. We're attempting to silence anyone who doesn't meet or satisfy this current rabid, politicized narrative that is being foisted upon us as the politically correct one today. It is no different than Athens as a city-state sitting in judgment of Socrates. And remember that his charge was that of corrupting the gods, that of being offensive. Oh, isn't it amazing that no matter how much things change, they evidently stay the same? We are humans. We're flawed, and we are bound and governed by human nature. Nothing that we say or do can or will change that. That is an inexorable fact. It is a truth, a bedrock truth that is just as good as being etched in stone. And yet, the wild-eyed mobs fail to see it. They have demanded that a founding father be removed from a position of prominence. Ladies and gentlemen, if we allow this madness to continue uncontested, unchallenged, then we are going to lose our very representative government. We will lose the very republic that so much blood, sweat, tears, and toil have been spilled and shed to create. And for what? So, a perversion that is doubling down on society can be accepted? So that we can bastardize our society, gut it, leave it weak, timid, tepid, and unable to withstand the trials and tribulations that might come along the way, and inevitably will come along the way? What sort of future or legacy are we going to be handing down to the up-and-coming generations, and even those generations who have yet to be born? What type of society are we in when the federal government can sit there and accuse parents that are rightly concerned about the future and educational well-being of their offspring as being domestic terrorists? And how is it that we, a nation that once prided itself on being fiercely independent, can have a federal government tell us to sit down and shut up, that we can't disagree with something or go to work if we don't have something done to us or put into our bodies? What happened to the autonomy of self? What happened to self-government? These are all questions that need to be asked, because as it stands right now, they are slipping inevitably and incrementally out of our grasp. That we are running the very real risk of losing them once and for all. And once they're lost, there will be no regaining them. And that is exactly what the Fabian socialists are banking on. That is exactly why they're doubling down right now, because they do sense that the sleeping giant is awakening. And once that powerful force is unleashed upon them, there will be no stopping it. There will be no turning back from it. There will be no, oops, we made a mistake, because this is beyond a mistake. This is in the realm of the intentional. This is in the realm of corruption. And this government is beyond corrupt. It's not to say that it got here overnight. No, this has been in the works for a significant amount of time. But what it is to say is that we can no longer be passive in regards to standing up to those voices who are prepared to do anything and everything within their power to deprive us of our liberties and to tell us that they know what's right. No, the deliberative processes that have defined this nation must be left in place. And the only way they can be left in place is if we, as a nation and people, are ready to step up to the mantle and to reclaim the duties and obligations of civics that are a part of us through the social contract that is none other than the Constitution. That is the mindset we need to get back to, and the sooner we do it, the better off we shall all be.